This video is about the mom walked into the city square and a rich stranger offered to carry her bag. If this story touches your heart, please mention where you are watching from in the comments. Please like the video and share your thoughts in comments. The morning sun dipped low in the sky, casting a golden hue over the bustling city square. Clara Thompson stood at the edge of the fountain, her heart racing as she took in the vibrant scene before her. It had been years since she'd visited the city, and now, freshly relocated with her young daughter Emma, she felt the weight of both excitement and nostalgia. "Mommy, can we go see the ducks?" Emma's voice broke through Clara's reverie, her big brown eyes sparkling with anticipation. Clara smiled, bending to fix the messy bun on her daughter's head. "Of course, sweetheart. Just let me grab my things." She adjusted the worn leather bag hanging from her shoulder, feeling the familiar ache in her back. Clara had always carried the weight of her responsibilities, but today, the burden felt particularly heavy. As they made their way through the square, the scent of roasted chestnuts wafted through the air, mingling with the laughter of children playing nearby. Clara watched as Emma dashed toward the fountain, her little feet splashing in the water, her laughter ringing like a bell. "Be careful," Clara called, her voice laced with both affection and worry. She could feel the familiar pang of protectiveness tighten in her chest. Just then, a figure caught her eye. A tall man with tousled dark hair, clad in an expensive-looking navy blazer. He had an air of effortless confidence, and Clara couldn't help but notice the way he moved, fluid and purposeful. He was standing just a few feet away, his gaze locked on Emma as she danced around the fountain. "Looks like she's having a great time," the man said, turning to Clara with a warm smile that could light up the dreariest of days. His voice was deep, smooth, and it sent an unexpected shiver down Clara's spine. "Yes, she is," Clara replied, a hint of surprise in her voice. "It's her first time here, so I wanted to make it special." She tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear, feeling a sudden wave of self-consciousness. "Special indeed," he said, his eyes glinting with genuine warmth. "I'm David, by the way." "Clara," she introduced herself, feeling the strange electric current between them. There was something about his presence that was both soothing and thrilling. David's gaze shifted to the bag slung over Clara's shoulder. "That looks heavy. Would you like me to carry it for you?" Clara hesitated, her mind racing. It felt strange to accept help from a stranger, yet there was an undeniable charm about him. She glanced at Emma, who was now giggling with delight as she chased after a duck. "It's okay, really," Clara replied, her voice laced with a hint of defensiveness. "I've got it." David chuckled lightly, his smile unwavering. "I insist. You're busy watching your daughter. The least I can do is lighten your load." His persistence was both flattering and disarming. Clara felt herself soften, the tension in her shoulders easing just a bit. Finally, she relented, handing over the bag, slightly surprised by how effortlessly he took it. "Thank you," she said, the word tasting new on her lips. "Not a problem at all. So what brings you and Emma to the city?" he asked, shifting the weight of her bag as if it were nothing more than a feather. "We just moved here a couple of days ago. I wanted to show her some sights. I had my own childhood memories of this place." Clara's voice grew wistful, her thoughts drifting back to the summers spent exploring the square with her parents. "Ah, so you're a local turned traveler." David grinned, his eyes sparkling with mischief. "I like it. There's something poetic about returning to your root." Clara found herself captivated by his charisma. She appreciated his engaging demeanor, how he seemed genuinely interested in her words. "I suppose you could say that. I'm hoping to create some new memories here, too." He nodded thoughtfully, his gaze shifting to Emma, who had now successfully caught a duck's attention, giggling as it quacked in surprise. "You're doing a great job. She seems happy." "She is. But I worry sometimes." Clara's voice faltered slightly, revealing a glimpse of her inner turmoil. "Life hasn't exactly been simple for us. David's expression softened, the playful sparkle replaced with genuine concern. "If you don't mind me asking, what happened?" Clara hesitated, her heart thudding in her chest. It was easy to talk about her daughter, but sharing the depths of her struggles felt daunting. "It's just life changes. I recently went through a divorce. It's been hard adjusting." David's face grew serious. "I'm sorry to hear that. That's a lot to bear, especially with a child." His empathy caught her off guard, and Clara felt a rush of warmth towards him. "Thank you. Some days are easier than others." "Is that why you moved? To start fresh?" David asked, his curiosity genuine. "Partly. I needed a change of scenery, to find a new rhythm. Emma deserves that." Clara felt an aching vulnerability in admitting her past, but there was something strangely comforting in sharing it with him. "Courage isn't easy to come by, Clara. You should be proud of yourself." His voice was steady, and Clara felt a fluttering in her stomach at his praise. Embarrassed by her own emotional shift, Clara quickly changed the subject. "So, what do you do, David? You seem like someone who knows the city well." "I own a small chain of cafes around here. I spend a lot of time exploring different neighborhoods." He gave a modest shrug, but Clara saw the pride behind his words. "Cafes? That sounds wonderful. I've always loved the atmosphere of a good cafe." Clara smiled, imagining the cozy corners filled with laughter and conversations. "Maybe I could show you one of my favorites sometime. I know a great little spot where they have the best pastries in the city." His tone held a light flirtation, the suggestion hanging in the air like a delicate promise. Clara felt her heart skip, an unexpected thrill coursing through her veins. I'd like that." Emma returned at that moment, her cheeks flushed and eyes sparkling. "Mommy, look! I made a friend!" She pointed excitedly at a small boy nearby, completely oblivious to the adult conversation unfolding. David knelt down, meeting Emma's gaze. "Hey, what's your name?" "Emma," she beamed, her confidence shining through. "That's a lovely name." "Emma, did you know that your mom is a superhero?" David said with a wink, and Clara felt a warmth bloom in her chest. "Really?" Emma's eyes widened with awe. Clara laughed, gently. A mix of embarrassment and affection. "I don't know about that." "Yes, she moved here just to make sure you could see all the ducks. Very brave." "Yes," Emma exclaimed, throwing her arms up in the air. "See, Mommy? I told you, we're going to be best friends with the ducks." David chuckled, a lightness surrounding him. Clara watched the two interact, a sudden wave of gratitude washing over her. In this moment, her worries faded into the background, if only for a while. As Clara gathered her thoughts, she couldn't shake the feeling that this chance encounter was something more than just a simple act of kindness. The way David looked at her, his smile lingering in the air, ignited a spark of something she hadn't felt in years. It was thrilling and terrifying all at once. "Mommy, can we stay here longer?" Emma asked, breaking Clara from her reverie. "Of course, honey," Clara replied, her heart swelling as she watched her daughter's joy. David straightened up, his eyes softening. "Well, while you're here, I'll keep an eye on your bag. Enjoy the moment." Clara nodded, feeling an inexplicable connection to this man she had just met. There was a curiosity in his gaze that made her wonder if maybe, just maybe, they could share more than just this fleeting moment in the city square. As the sun dipped lower, wrapping them in its warm embrace, Clara couldn't help but feel that this was only the beginning. As the sun dipped further, casting long shadows over the city square, Clara felt like she was in a living painting. The energy of the square surged as children squealed, couples strolled hand in hand, and street musicians filled the air with lively melodies. It was a beautiful chaos that tugged at her heartstrings. Emma tugged at Clara's hand, pulling her toward the duck pond, where the gentle quacking harmonized with the laughter around them. She seemed to float on a cloud of joy, and Clara couldn't help but feel overwhelmed with love for her daughter. "Look, Mommy! They're so cute!" Emma exclaimed, her eyes wide with wonder. Just like you, sweetheart, Clara replied, ruffling her daughter's hair. Her mind, however, drifted back to David. He lingered nearby, leaning casually against the fountain, watching them with a smile that made her stomach flutter. Do you think he'll stay? Clara's inner voice whispered, a hint of anxiety creeping in. Just as the thought settled, David stepped closer, his hands casually resting in his pockets, exuding an effortless charm. Have you ever seen ducks that color before? He asked, eyes sparkling as he pointed toward a pair of mallards gliding on the water. Clara turned, following his gaze. No, I haven't. They're beautiful, just like this day. The moment felt charged, a small bubble of intimacy forming between them amidst the chaos. David chuckled, a low, rich sound that sent a shiver down her spine. I think you might be biased considering you're sharing it with your daughter. He glanced at Emma, who was now crouched down, talking animatedly to the ducks. She's got a great imagination. Clara's heart warmed at his words. She does. Sometimes I worry it might get her into trouble, though. The truth hung in the air, a reminder of her fears and insecurities as a single mother. David's expression shifted slightly, a touch of understanding crossing his features. I get that. It's a tough balance. You want them to dream but also keep them grounded. An unexpected wave of vulnerability washed over Clara. It's been a challenge without the support I thought I'd have. She regretted the admission immediately, heat creeping up her neck as she glanced away. David studied her for a moment, the atmosphere around them shifting. I can only imagine. You're doing an incredible job, Clara. His sincerity felt like a warm blanket, wrapping around Clara's anxious heart. Thanks, Clara replied, her voice barely above a whisper. At that moment, Emma ran back to them, her cheeks flushed with excitement. Mommy, can we feed them some bread? She clutched a small bag filled with crumbs, the remnants of a snack she had pilfered earlier. Clara chuckled, shaking her head. We can't feed them bread, Emma. It's not good for them. David knelt down beside Emma, drawing her attention. How about we find some proper duck food? I know a place nearby that sells it. He looked at Clara, a spark of mischief in his eyes. Emma's face lit up with excitement. Can we, Mommy? Please? Clara hesitated, caught off guard by David's suggestion. It felt bold, a little too intimate for a stranger, but there was an undeniable allure in the way he engaged with her daughter. I don't know. What if it takes too long? David stood up, his expression earnest. I promise to bring you back here in no time. I know a shortcut, and think of the memories you'll create. Clara met his gaze, her heart racing. It was tempting, refreshing even. Something about his confidence drew her in like a moth to flame. Okay, just for a little while, she relented, feeling a strange thrill at the thought of being alone with him, even in a public space. Yay! Emma cheered, grabbing David's hand, pulling him toward the edge of the square as Clara followed, her heart pounding. They walked side by side, Clara acutely aware of the warmth radiating from David. She stole glances at him, admiring the way his features softened in the late afternoon light. So, what's your favorite part about owning cafes? Clara asked, breaking the silence as they navigated through the crowd. David chuckled, his eyes lighting up. I love the stories. Every cup of coffee has a story behind it. People come in for a million reasons, but they all seek a moment of connection. His passion was magnetic, and Clara found herself leaning in, captivated. That's beautiful. I've always loved the idea of a place where people gather and share their lives. Maybe I should have you help me design the next cafe. You seem to have a knack for creating warmth. He grinned, his teasing tone making Clara's heart leap. Don't. Only if you promise to include a cozy reading nook, she shot back, her smile spreading wide. David laughed, a rich, infectious sound that made her feel lighter. Deal. I can already visualize it. The local book club sipping coffee while kids run around. It sounds perfect. As they approached a small shop tucked between two larger buildings, Clara felt a flutter of excitement. David held the door open, a gesture so simple yet laced with a hint of gallantry. Inside, the air was filled with the sweet aroma of baked goods, and Clara found herself momentarily lost in the warmth of the space. "Okay, what's the best duck food?" Emma asked, bounding toward the counter, her youthful exuberance infectious. David leaned against the counter, his gaze shifting to Clara as they waited for the shopkeeper. "So, what do you think? Do you see yourself settling down here, or is this just a quick stop?" The question caught Clara off guard. She hadn't really thought beyond the present moment. I don't know yet. It feels like a fresh start, but there's so much to figure out." David's expression softened. "That's understandable. Sometimes finding your footing takes time, but you have a beautiful spark, Clara. I can see it in the way you look at Emma." Clara felt the heat rise in her cheeks. "You really think so?" "Absolutely." His confidence was unwavering, and Clara couldn't help but feel a rush of warmth at his compliment. Just then the shopkeeper approached, a friendly smile lighting up her face. "What can I get for you today?" Emma chirped up. "We want duck food." The shopkeeper's eyes twinkled. "We've got a special mix just for them. It's all natural, no preservative." She glanced at Clara, a knowing smile playing on her lips. "How about a bag of that?" "Yes, please," Emma squealed, her excitement contagious. As the shopkeeper prepared the bag, Clara stole another glance at David. He was watching Emma with a softness in his eyes that made her chest ache in an inexplicable way. It was odd yet stirring to see him engage with her daughter so effortlessly. "Do you have kids?" Clara blurted out, her curiosity getting the better of her. David hesitated. "Not yet. I'm focused on my cafes right now, but I love being around kids. They remind me to be curious and adventurous." The honesty in his response struck a chord within Clara, igniting a flicker of something deeper. It must be nice to be able to travel for work. "It does have its perks," he replied, leaning closer, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "But there are days I wish I had a little adventure of my own to share." The way he looked at her made her pulse race, a delicious tension building between them. The shopkeeper handed over the bag and Emma practically squealed in delight. "Thanks," she exclaimed, clutching it tightly. "Okay, let's get back to the ducks," David said, standing tall as if he had just completed a mission. Clara couldn't help but smile at his enthusiasm. As they made their way back through the square, Clara felt her heart swelling with a mix of excitement and apprehension. There was something about this stranger, a magnetic pull that made her feel alive, yet nervous. "So, what's next after the ducks?" she asked, trying to keep the conversation light. "Maybe a gelato. I know a fantastic place right around the corner," he suggested, and Clara felt her heart flutter, the idea of extending their time together thrilling her. "Gelato sounds perfect," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. They reached the pond again, the ducks eagerly quacking as Emma scattered the food. Clara's heart swelled as she observed her daughter's delight. David knelt beside her, his presence a comforting anchor. "Look at them go," Emma exclaimed, her laughter ringing like music. As Clara watched the joy on her daughter's face, she felt a shift within herself. Maybe this was what she needed. An adventure, a connection. She dared to glance at David, who was watching her with an intensity that made her breath hitch. "Clara," he said softly, his voice almost lost in the sound of splashing water. "I really enjoy spending time with you and Emma. There's something special here." A warmth enveloped her, a mixture of hope and uncertainty. "I do too." Clara's heart swelled at David's words, but a flutter of uncertainty crept in. She hadn't allowed herself the luxury of hope in quite some time. "Really?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper, a mix of disbelief and vulnerability threading through her tone. David turned to face her fully, his gaze steady and sincere, causing her breath to hitch. "Of course, you have this warmth about you. Emma reflects it too. It's like you both light up the space around you." A shy smile tugged at Clara's lips, but beneath it lay a torrent of thoughts. Was it too soon to feel this connection? Could she trust herself to explore these emotions, or was she setting herself up for disappointment? She stole a glance at Emma, who was now giggling as a particularly bold duck waddled closer, searching for more food. Clara's heart swelled at her daughter's laughter, a reminder of the life she was trying to build anew. "I appreciate that," Clara replied, her voice softening as she focused on Emma's joy. "It's been tough, but she makes it worth it." David nodded, his expression shifting to something deeper. "You're both lucky to have each other. That bond is everything." Clara felt a wave of warmth wash over her. "Thank you, David. You're incredibly kind." She hesitated before continuing. "It's nice to meet someone who understands." "I want to understand more," he replied, his tone earnest. "If you're open to it." Her pulse quickened at the implication. "Open to what?" He took a step closer, the air thickening between them. "I mean, I want to get to know you better, more than just a passing encounter in the park." His gaze pierced through her defenses. Clara's heart raced, caught between the thrill of his interest and the fear of what it could mean. She had spent so long guarding her heart, afraid of the chaos that intimacy could bring. I don't know," she stammered, her voice laced with hesitation. David's expression shifted, a flicker of concern passing through his eyes. "I understand if this feels too fast, but I can't help but feel there's something here, and I'd hate to let it slip away." Clara's heart twisted. She wanted to lean into this, to explore the chemistry igniting between them, but the weight of her past loomed large. "You don't know my situation, David. I'm still figuring things out. I can't just jump into something." "I don't expect you to," he replied, his tone gentle yet firm. "I'm just asking for a chance to see where this could lead. No pressure." His sincerity disarmed her, and Clara felt the walls she had built around her heart starting to crack. "I appreciate that," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "But it's complicated." "Life is complicated," David countered softly, the warmth in his eyes unwavering. "But that doesn't mean we shouldn't embrace the moments we have." Clara studied him, feeling the pull of his conviction. She wanted to believe in the possibility of this connection, yet her mind raced with reminders of her responsibility. Could she balance a budding romance alongside motherhood and everything else? "Mommy!" Emma's exuberant call jolted Clara from her thoughts. "Look, the ducks are swimming." Clara turned, her heart swelling as she watched her daughter's unfiltered delight. "They are, sweetheart. They're having a feast." David chuckled, glancing at Emma with a fondness that made Clara's heart flutter. "She's a treasure, Clara. You're raising a remarkable little girl." "Thank you," Clara replied, her throat tightening with emotion. "I try my best." "I can see that," he said, his eyes steady on hers. "And I admire it. But you don't always have to do it alone. Let me help lighten the load." Clara felt a rush of warmth at his words. "I appreciate that, but it's hard for me to accept help. It's something I've always struggled with." David nodded, a knowing look in his eyes. "It's okay to let people in, you know. It doesn't make you weak. It makes you human." "Maybe," Clara whispered, the truth of his words echoing in her mind. A part of her wanted to resist, to cling to the independence she had fought so hard to maintain. But another part of her yearned for connection, for companionship. "Let's not overthink this," he suggested lightly, flashing a charming smile. "How about we just enjoy the gelato and the moment, one step at a time?" The simplicity of his suggestion soothed her racing thoughts. "That sounds nice," Clara replied, allowing herself to relax a bit. Maybe this was what she needed. A moment free from the burdens of her life. As they made their way toward the gelato shop, Clara felt David's presence beside her, a comforting contrast to the chaos of her thoughts. Emma skipped ahead, her laughter ringing in the air, and Clara couldn't help but smile, feeling a flicker of excitement for the afternoon ahead. Inside the shop, the rich aroma of freshly made waffle cones enveloped them, and Clara's senses danced with the sugary scents. "What's your favorite flavor?" David asked, leaning toward her as they stepped up to the counter. I've always loved pistachio, Clara replied, her cheeks warming as she glanced at him. An adventurous choice, he said, his eyes sparkling with mischief. I can respect that. He turned to the counter attendant, placing his order. I'll take a scoop of that too. Can't let you have all the fun. Clara laughed, warmth coursing through her. You won't regret it. As they waited, David turned back to her, the playful banter still lingering in the air. You know, I was thinking. Oh no, what have I gotten myself into? Clara teased, raising an eyebrow. He chuckled, the sound sending a thrill down her spine. I was just going to suggest that we make this a regular thing. You and Emma, my unofficial taste testers for new gelato flavors. Clara's heart raced at the thought. Is that an official offer? Absolutely, he replied, his tone holding a hint of seriousness. I think a little adventure might do you both good. Swallowing her nerves, Clara felt a surge of excitement. Okay, I'm in, but only if I get to pick the next flavor. Deal, he said, extending a hand for a shake, the warmth of his palm sending electricity shooting through her. Pistachio today, whatever you want next. As they walked out of the shop, gelato cones in hand, Clara felt an undeniable shift within her. Maybe this was the adventure she had been seeking, something unexpected, something that could bring color back into her life. They settled on a nearby bench, Emma bouncing with energy as she took her first lick of her cone. Clara couldn't help but laugh at how closely she resembled the joyful ducks they had fed earlier. Delicious, Emma exclaimed, her eyes sparkling like the sun reflecting off the pond. David glanced at Clara, a shared understanding passing between them. Maybe she takes after her mom with that enthusiasm. Clara felt a rush of gratitude for the way David engaged with Emma. She really is a bright light, she replied, her heart swelling with pride. I don't know what I would do without her, but you don't have to do it alone. David reminded her gently, his gaze steady. You have people who care. Clara nodded, her heart heavy with the weight of past disappointments. I'm learning that. It's just hard to let go sometimes. Trust is a journey, he replied thoughtfully, his expression softening. But you deserve to trust, Clara. You deserve to be happy. The sincerity in his voice sent a shiver through her. Thank you, David. I appreciate you saying that. Emma finished her cone, looking between them with curiosity. Are you two friends now? Clara exchanged a glance with David, the air charged with unspoken words. I think we are, Clara replied, a smile breaking across her face. David grinned, his eyes twinkling with mischief. Definitely friends, at least until we finish this gelato. Clara laughed, feeling the tension of the day easing away. Maybe, just maybe, she could take the leap into the unknown. With David by her side, the possibilities felt endless. As they shared laughter and gelato, Clara knew this moment was a turning point. The weight of her past still lingered, but for the first time in a long time, she felt the thrill of hope unfurling within her, whispering that perhaps this was the beginning of something beautiful. The sun began its descent, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink as Clara, David, and little Emma settled into their makeshift picnic spot. The air buzzed with the sounds of the city winding down for the evening, laughter and chatter mingling with the distant strumming of a guitar. Sitting on the bench, Clara felt a bubbling excitement mixed with a hint of apprehension. Mommy, can I have one more lick? Emma's voice broke through Clara's thoughts, her wide eyes pleading. Of course, but just one more. We don't want to spoil your dinner, Clara replied, her heart swelling at her daughter's innocent enthusiasm. Emma nodded vigorously, her little fingers gripping the cone tightly as she tilted it back for a generous lick. Yummy! She exclaimed, her cheeks smearing with melted gelato. David chuckled, watching the little girl with a fondness that made Clara's heart flutter. She has a talent for making everything look delicious, he remarked, a teasing smile playing on his lips. Clara laughed, her eyes meeting David's. She certainly does. It's hard to resist that face. With a playful glint in her eye, she turned her attention back to Emma, who was busy attempting to catch the last drips of her ice cream. Clara's thoughts danced around the idea of what it might look like to share more moments like this with David, a man who seemed effortlessly charming, yet grounded. As Emma finished her cone, she looked up at David. "Are you going to be our friend forever?" Clara felt her heart skip a beat, a rush of warmth flooding her at Emma's innocent question. She exchanged a glance with David, who was taken aback by the suddenness of it, but smiled nonetheless. "Forever is a long time, Emma," he replied, his tone light. "But I'd love to be your friend for as long as you'll have me." Emma's face lit up, her unfiltered joy making Clara smile. "Yay. You have to come to our house and meet my toys." "Absolutely," David said, his eyes sparkling with delight. "I'd love to see your toy collection." Clara couldn't help but feel a mixture of gratitude and apprehension. David's warm demeanor made it easy for her to imagine him fitting seamlessly into their lives, yet the idea of letting someone in felt both exhilarating and daunting. As they settled into a comfortable silence, the distant chatter of passers-by floated through the air. Clara felt a slight tension as she wondered how David viewed her. She couldn't tell if he was simply a kind stranger or if there was something deeper threaded within their interaction. "Oh," David began, breaking the silence, "what's your favorite thing about living in the city so far?" Clara pondered for a moment, her fingers absent-mindedly tracing the rim of her gelato cup. "There's a certain energy here that I love. The art, the culture. It feels vibrant. It reminds me of who I used to be." David nodded, his expression thoughtful. "That's beautiful. You seem like someone who thrives in creativity." "Oh, I don't know about that. I used to paint, but I haven't had the time or space to do it since..." She trailed off, her throat tightening at the memories of her old life, the canvas collecting dust, reflecting the chaos that derailed her passion. "Since your divorce?" David finished gently, his tone inviting but respectful of her boundaries. Clara appreciated his sensitivity. "Yes. It's been tough to find time for myself between work and being a mom. Finding that balance is key," David said, his voice steady. "But you deserve to reclaim that part of yourself, Clara." His words resonated within her, and Clara felt a flicker of hope ignite. "Thank you, David. That means a lot." Emma, oblivious to the deeper conversation, wiggled closer to David. "What do you like to do for fun?" she asked, her innocent curiosity bridging the gap between them effortlessly. David grinned, leaning closer to Emma. "Well, I love trying out new gelato flavors, of course." Emma giggled, her laughter ringing like music. "You're silly." Clara's heart warmed at the sight of Emma's joy, and she couldn't resist the urge to join in. "He's funny, but he also owns cafes." "What about that, David?" David chuckled, a light in his eyes. "Right. I also love exploring new neighborhoods and finding hidden gems, like this gelato shop." "That's awesome. Can we go to your cafes?" Emma asked, bouncing with excitement. "Oh, I'd love to show you my favorite one. They have the best chocolate croissants," he replied, mischief dancing in his gaze as he looked at Clara. "Would you join us, Clara?" The invitation sent a rush of warmth through her. "I'd love to. It sounds perfect." A moment passed, the air thick with unspoken words and lingering glances. Clara felt a stirring in her heart as she caught David's gaze, revealing a glimmer of something deeper that sparked between them. "Clara." David's voice broke the spell, pulling her back to reality. "What's your favorite thing to do besides painting?" She hesitated, the weight of her past holding her back. "I haven't had much of a chance to think about it. Between work and Emma, it's hard to find that time. Life shouldn't feel like a checklist." David countered softly, leaning closer. "What about spending time outdoors? Going for walks, exploring parks, or maybe even finding a cool cafe?" "I used to love hiking," Clara admitted, her heart fluttering at the thought. "But it's been a while since I've had the chance to enjoy it." You should. Nature has a way of refreshing the soul, David encouraged, his eyes earnest. Perhaps we could plan a hike together sometime? The suggestion stirred a whirl of emotions within her. The idea of a hike felt both inviting and intimidating. That could be fun. But, her voice faltered, uncertainty creeping in. What if it gets complicated? David's expression softened, understanding washing over him. Complications are part of life, Clara. But sometimes taking risks leads to the best rewards. Clara bit her lip, wrestling with her internal doubts. She had spent so long guarding her heart, afraid of the chaos intimacy could bring. But the warmth radiating from David, the connection they shared, made it hard to resist. Okay, she finally said, her voice steadying. Let's plan for it, if nothing else. Emma leaned against Clara, her head resting against her mother's side. I wanted to go too. It'll be fun. Absolutely, the more, the merrier, David replied, his smile warm and inviting. We can have a little adventure together. The moment felt infused with potential, the air around them humming with the promise of what could be. As they finished their gelato, the conversation flowed effortlessly, punctuated by laughter and small moments of shared glances. Clara's heart felt lighter, the worries of the world fading away for the first time in a long while. Just as Clara began to relax, a sudden commotion erupted nearby. A group of teenagers were laughing loudly, one of them bumping into the bench, causing Emma to giggle and squeal. "Watch out!" Clara exclaimed, instinctively wrapping her arm around Emma. David's demeanor shifted slightly, a protective instinct flashing in his eyes. "Hey, easy there!" he called out to the group, his voice firm yet good-natured. The teenagers turned, momentarily surprised, and then burst into laughter, their carefree energy palpable. Clara felt a mixture of embarrassment and gratitude at David's reaction. His protective nature felt like a shield. "Are you okay?" David asked, glancing back at Emma, who nodded eagerly. "I'm fine," Emma said, her laughter infectious. "Good," David replied, his expression softening as he looked at her. "Just keeping an eye out for you both." Clara felt warmth blossom in her chest at his concern. "Thank you for that. You didn't have to." "I want to," he replied earnestly, a hint of seriousness returning to his tone. "You both deserve to feel safe and happy." Her heart raced at his words, the sincerity behind them pulling her in. Clara felt a wave of emotion crash over her, a mix of gratitude and a desire for deeper connection. "David," she began, but before she could finish, Emma jumped in. "Can we go play with the ducks again?" Clara chuckled, shaking her head gently. "You really love those ducks, don't you? Can we? Please," Emma pleaded, her eyes wide with excitement. David glanced at Clara, a silent exchange passing between them as the tension in the air shifted. "I think we can manage one more adventure," he said, rising from the bench. Clara nodded, feeling exhilarated by the spontaneity of it all. "All right, let's go." They made their way back to the pond, Emma skipping ahead in gleeful anticipation. Clara felt the familiar thrill of joy wash over her as she watched her daughter's unfiltered happiness. David fell into step beside her,